Every September, thousands of people participate in a long-standing tradition in Portland, watching the Swifts at Chapman Elementary School in Northwest. It's a pretty spectacular sight, usually. Thousands of birds fill the air, and at sundown they funnel into the chimney to roost for the night. Portland is along their migration path, and the birds have been coming to the Chapman chimney since at least the 1980s. But they haven't been returning as frequently this year, at least not nearly in the numbers we usually see. This is typically the peak time of the month for the birds. Usually thousands of them go into the chimney each night, but lately there have been less than 100, sometimes none at all. The Bird Alliance of Oregon, which used to be called the Portland Audubon, has been tracking the swifts at Chapman since 2009, and they count them every night of September.
Yeah, the numbers are quite a bit lower this year. In most years, we get, an average of 5,000 birds a night throughout September, and in the peak of the middle of September, we'll often have a lot more than that. But this year, the numbers started out, in the low thousands, which was fine, and then trickled down into the hundreds, and now most recently, in the past couple of days, we haven't had any birds at Chapman.
So we graphed it. This graph shows the average number of birds counted each night throughout the month from 2009 to 2022. As you can see, usually this week there are anywhere from 6,000 to 7,000 swifts a night. This year, the numbers are nowhere close. They had a peak of about 5,000 birds at the beginning of September, and it's been on the decline since then. September 12th, they only counted 670 birds. The average for that date is more than 6,000. September 15th, not even 100 birds, when there are normally close to 7,000. Last year, the Bird Alliance counted a peak of more than 11,000 swifts at Chapman.
In the 10, 11 years I've been with Bird Alliance of Oregon, I have not seen them go this low. I mean, we've had a couple nights where there have been no birds there at all. We don't know. We want to keep monitoring Chapman during the rest of September like we normally do every year, because we just don't know what to expect. They could reappear in a night tonight. Who knows? We don't really know.
So the big question, how did thousands of birds just disappear? The Bird Alliance says they're not entirely sure. There could be a lot of possibilities, anything from predators to the weather.
We're not sure. We really need to look at the data more closely. We do know that every year there are Cooper's hawks and peregrine falcons sometimes that show up near the chimney. They can definitely influence the behavior of the bird. So there could be something going on with numbers of predators or presence of predators there. I want to say again, it's totally speculative. We don't know for sure, but we are collecting that data. We collect data on the number of swifts. We collect data on the activity of raptors every night. So we'll have to look at that information and see if we can see any correlations or patterns from that.
They say it's also possible that the birds just found somewhere they like better this year.
We've been monitoring the Chapman chimney for 15 years, and we typically get a lot more birds, and so it is very unusual. But in the larger scheme of things, these birds are known to sometimes forego using a chimney that they've used historically. So we're trying to figure out right now what is going on. Like, we don't know for sure. Like I said, it is natural that sometimes they will just, abandon the use of a chimney and use other ones. So we do know that there are some other chimneys in the Portland metro area that they're using in higher numbers than in previous years. So we are speculating right now that some of the birds that normally would be going into Chapman are going into these alternative chimneys in other parts of the town. And so that's part of what we're learning right now. We do need to look at our data more intensely in the next couple of weeks and try to see if there's any other patterns.
By the way, if you're wondering how they're able to count so many birds, it's not an exact science, but they do well enough to get a good estimate.
When you have a large number of animals to count, you often count them in blocks of 10 or 100, and that's what we do at Chapman. So we stand up on top of the hill, looking at the chimney, and we have a clicker in our hand to count the birds in blocks of 100 or 10 to 100, depending on the experienced observer. We do train people to do the counts. they have to practice a number of times and compare them to numbers of more experienced observers until we feel like we have a pretty good, pretty good experienced person that can do the count. But there is error there for sure. And the main thing is that over time we use a consistent method so we can see a trend across time.